All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video and a little Brock Purdy injury update. And of course, Pig in a Pickle, check them out in Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week in Marin County, and they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville inside the Emeryville Public Marketplace. Well, Brock Purdy doesn't have to be in Santa Clara when the Niners begin their offseason program, but he plans to be there and he wants to get back to work. That's the latest from Purdy, who spoke prior to the NFL draft and giving us an update on his situation with his elbow. He's only about a month out from his surgery on the ulnar collateral ligament, the UCL, on his right elbow. The surgery was March the 10th, an injury, of course, that we saw him suffer at the hands of Hassan Reddick in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. Now, when is Purdy going to begin throwing? They're saying it's probably not going to be until June. And then, they think that he could possibly return to the practice field likely in September. At this point, he's just been rehabbing in Arizona with the Angels minor league physical therapist, Keith Kocher. And then he will make a trip to Santa Clara coming up this weekend. And he'll be in Santa Clara at the Niner facility. It's interesting to see what he's got going on right now. His return is expected sometime in September. The 49ers are hoping that he'll be ready sooner, maybe by the end of training camp, but nobody knows for sure at this point. And they'll know a lot more once he begins throwing. Once they begin throwing, you're going to have a much better idea if he's lost any arm strength, how he's feeling, if what kind of condition he's going to be in, if he's going to get back easy from this thing. We don't know exactly it's all guesswork at this point on the elbow. So that leaves right now Trey Lance and Sam Darnold competing to be the week one starter pending whatever happens in this draft. And I would imagine the Niners will probably add another quarterback, whether they draft one or sign one after free agency or after the draft, I should say, to bring into camp. So there's no question this is a huge moment in Trey Lance's professional career, and he's trying to get his career going. Brock's just trying to get back on the field, and the thing that you love about Trey Lance is he's saying all the right things as far as he understands the situation. I don't know if everybody else does, but he definitely does. He was quoted in February saying, "Everyone saw what Brock did. Brock doesn't just come in and play that well, and I just get handed something out of the blue, and I don't expect that or want that. But I truly believe, I just want an opportunity to compete. That's all I've wanted going into this offseason." So obviously only one guy can be the starting quarterback, and who's it going to be? Is it going to be Trey? Is it going to be Brock? I'll say this, after watching Sam Darnold's workout video, or I should say highlight video from last year with Carolina, he looked good. He definitely had some moments last year. Sam Darnold played pretty well for the Carolina Panthers, so that's something to factor into this equation as well. Now, what are we going to see this summer? Well, we're not going to see Brock Purdy, it doesn't sound like, unless he just heals an awful lot faster than they're saying right now. But it sounds like we're going to have a much better idea of his timeline and a much more accurate feeling of his timeline once he starts to throw. And so that's probably where we're going to have a clearer picture of exactly how long he's going to be out. He said he's been in constant contact with the 49er doctors and that everything's progressing at a nice rate. But who knows? It's really an unknown situation. And then, that's why the rest of the quarterback room is so important. And what an interesting offseason this is going to be for the 49ers as Purdy's trying to make his way back. Lance is trying to, get that starting job back and also make sure that he's physically right. Sam Darnold is literally trying to save his career and kind of put himself back on the map with a winning team. And I think all guys, the thing about this that's so interesting is I'm sure there's a desperation across the board. I mean, the 49ers as an organization are desperate to get better play at the quarterback position and to win the Super Bowl. And last I checked, you need a good quarterback to win the Super Bowl. So there's some desperation from Shanahan, the offensive coaching staff, John Lynch. They're desperate to win that Super Bowl. I think John and Kyle both know they win the Super Bowl. They're made men with the Niner ownership group, and it's a huge moment in their professional careers. So without it, there's a void there. So they're desperate to get the Lombardi Trophy. And then Purdy's desperate to show everybody that he last year was not an aberration, that this is what he is, and that he's desperate to get back on the field and show that his elbow's 100% and he's ready to roll and ready to be the number one quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And then there's Trey Lance, who's out on the field, desperate to get back as well and show that ankle injury, which looks so devastating, was just a blip, and that he's going to prevail, and he's working hard, working with Mahomes, trying to hone his craft and get his mechanics down, and so he can hit the ground running because he knows how important this summer is for him. It's the biggest summer and training camp of his life. And then you got Sam Darnold, and he's desperate too. I mean, Sam Darnold, if he doesn't play well with the 49ers, with Kyle Shanahan, and with all these weapons, he's probably done in the NFL. I mean, that's the reality. You don't get forever in the NFL. If he can't prove in this, with this good of a football team, with this good of a play caller, that he can be a serviceable NFL quarterback, then it's a wrap. I mean, he may be able to stick around for a few years as a backup, but this is his opportunity to kind of tell everybody and, right the wrong. He was a blue chipper. He was a top 5 pick. He was the 3rd pick overall. High expectations. He bombed, bombed in with the Jets. I mean, just it wasn't good. Interceptions, turnovers, video of him saying he's seeing ghosts. Just a lot of really inconsistent play. And then last year in Carolina, on a little bit better team, we probably got out of New York, get a little, take a deep breath. He kind of showed what he's got, and he started to make some plays. And that little 6-game stretch to finish last year in Charlotte was the best 6-game stretch of his career. And then day one of free agency, he's coming to the 49ers. So the 49er quarterback situation is going to be very interesting. But for now, the story is Brock Purdy, a month removed from surgery on the UCL, is not expected to begin throwing until June, ramping up his workload, possibly for a return to the practice field in September. And what does that mean? Does that mean he's going to miss a game? Does that mean he's going to miss a month? At this point, we don't know. We'll know more when he begins throwing. But all the things from Purdy's camp sound positive, but it doesn't mean he's going to be there for training camp. I think it would take an overwhelming recovery, speedy recovery for him to be there in training camp. So then at the same time as you've got Lance desperate and the Niners are desperate and Brock's desperate and Darnold's trying to save his whole career, the Niners are also talking to Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA, probably amongst other quarterbacks. But will the Niners go quarterback in this draft? I think it's highly likely that they will. Now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to be projected as a 3rd to a 5th round pick. Will they use a 3rd round pick? They've got 3 of them at the end of the 3rd round. Will they use one of those picks on DTR? That is a big drama question and angle to look for in this upcoming draft. So a lot of interesting stuff on the Niner quarterback situation. And the latest from Brock Purdy sounds positive. We won't actually know for sure until he begins throwing in June. All right, hope you enjoyed our 49er video. Check out Pig in a Pickle in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Corte Madera. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And thanks for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.